our college, BA Mechanical, presently working as Senior Engineer, Body Construction Engineering, Ford Global Technology and Business Center, Chennai. So I welcome you, Mr. Manoj Krishnan, and I welcome all the faculty members and students. So please interact with our alumni who has completed our course very successfully, and you can feel free to ask any questions, and you try to use his expertise. So over to Mr. Arumugam for the introduction of the chief guest.
So, good morning, everyone present here. So, I welcome you all for the today's guest lecture on innovation in digital manufacturing. And I am very happy to welcome today guest and our speaker, Mr. Manoj Krishnan A, Senior Engineer, Ford Global Technology and Business Center, Chennai, and also he is our alumnus of 2014 batch, and he has more than 6-year experience in automation and the simulation field in various industries. So I request and instruct the students and participants from the various institutions are use his knowledge and enhance your knowledge in the field of digital manufacturing. So I hand over the session to Mr. Manoj Krishnan. Thank you.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Am I audible?
Good morning. Audible, Manoj.
Yes, sir. So hello, everyone. This is Manoj, and I have completed my BE Mechanical in the year 2014 from Valemi Engineering College. And this is about a short introduction about me. Once after I graduated, I started as a robotics engineer in Herotech India Private Limited, which is located in Coimbatore. Then from there onwards, I moved to Renault Nissan Technology and Business Center, which is located in Mahindra City. Now I am currently working as a senior engineer in Ford Global and Technology Solutions, which is located in Sholingnallur. Okay, this is a short introduction about me, and shall we move on to the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Just a minute, let me stop sharing and reshare. Can everyone able to see my presentation?
Yeah, Manoj.
Yes.
It's clear.
So yes, sir. So today we are going to see about innovation in digital manufacturing. So can anyone tell about what is digital manufacturing? Okay, so let me start off with this. So I will start off with the definition of digital manufacturing. So this is the overview that we are going to see today. So it comprises of introduction, history, and since I'm working in automotive industry, I will be giving a brief explanation about automotive industry and how digital manufacturing is implemented in automotive industry. And regarding the BIW, as you can see in automotive industry, one of the major part is like body in white. Body in white is nothing but a car component. So we are going to see today about how the manufacturing process happens in automotive industry with the help of digital manufacturing. And I will try to present some of the real-time manufacturing videos and what are the benefits and limitations and conclusions and everything. Okay, moving on to the next slide. So digital manufacturing is nothing but we use various kinds of computer-based systems like everything, like from design, simulation, and viewing, analytics, and collaborative tools. Everything will be done with in the design phase itself, in the digital phase itself. Okay, like for example, if you need to create an end component, we will be like simulating, designing an entire component, and we will simulate and to check whether when it is running in the real-time condition, whether it can run effectively or not. And this helps in reducing the manufacturing cost. And if there is any reworks, we can reduce it also. And a 3D visualization is nothing but a viewing software, which helps all the personals to view the component in the digital phase itself. So this can be used from designing phase till the manufacturing phase. So even the manufacturing people who manufactures it, they could see how the outcome will be. So analytics tools is used to analyze our strength of the component which we are reducing. This we use the softwares like SolidWorks and other softwares. So they analyze the structure before it is being delivered. So moving on to the next slide. Okay, let me tell you about the brief history of industrial revolution. Now currently we are in the 4th industrial revolution. So as you can see here, so the first industrial revolution started when we started using like steam powered engines. So like you could find the old railway engines, train engines, so everything which started the mobility, right? So that is industrial revolution 1. So the next thing is when we started using electricity for the manufacturing process. So with the help of like welding process, instead of using gas welding, we have, when we moved to spot welding, see we used like with the help of manpower, we used welding process such that. So the use of electricity is the industrial revolution 2. And the 3rd industrial revolution started when we started using PLC and IT systems. When the computer was integrated with the shop floor, most of the process will be automated. Like for example, CNC machine. So the CNC machine is nothing but an automated, like it can be used for various purposes like part cutting, machining, and everything. So with the help of computer, when we started using, it is the 3rd industrial revolution. And the 4th industrial revolution is it comprises of the 3rd industrial revolution along with cloud computing. So it uses cloud technology which collects all the data from the plant. Like for example, if there is any AGV, like automated guided vehicle in the plant, it collects the data from that. For a brief, I will show you the next slide. So as you can see from this image, this is kind of like a model image, how the shop floor will look like. So you can find like there are various components in the shop floor. Like there will be so much AGVs like which carries parts from the bin, and there will be like vision components which checks for the quality of the product, and CNC and tools will be there, and most of the AGVs will be used for the transport field, and there will be like other processes like a robot and tool control and the environmental control, everything. So what Industry 4.0 defines is it uses the help of cloud technology, and which it collects all the information from the machining tool, vision tool, AGV, and based on it, it reduces as much as human intervention as possible. So without the help of human intervention, like if for example, if a AGV stops midway, the cloud computing automatically tracks the AGV, and what it would do is it would send alert to the next AGV to choose another path. So likewise, everything will be autonomous. It is kind of like an artificial intelligence. So this is what the current industry trend is moving towards. And moving on to the next one. So since I work in automotive, I will be explaining briefly about the automotive today. So the automotive industry is nothing but it is a group of organizations which involves in designing, development, manufacturing, marketing, and selling of motor vehicles. So the process of the automobile is what is called the end product of the automotive industry. Okay, so it is one of the largest economic sectors in the world. So automotive industry, if you take automotive industry in total, it comprises of various supplier companies. Like for a car to be built, you need to have you need to get supplied components from many manufacturers. Like for example, if you take a car, there are so much components which we need for a car. Like for example, tires we need, and we need engine components. We need even a small bolt and nuts. Everything will be required from the, because the OEM, which in the sense it is called original equipment manufacturers. You could find companies like Honda, Toyota. They are called OEMs because they have a product by their name. So they are called OEMs. OEM cannot produce all the components. So what they will do is they will outsource all the components to the suppliers. So suppliers will be providing all the components to them. Like not all the one, most of the components to them. Like windshield will be provided by, for example, Saint Gobain will be providing the windshield, and the paints will be provided by some companies, and seat fabrication will be provided by some companies. Plastic technologies will be provided by some companies. So an automobile is not only an OEM; it comprises of all the other industries. So that is why it is called as a like a large economic sector. Okay, and moving on to the next one. So now currently, how the digital manufacturing is implemented in the automotive industry is, we are using digital manufacturing in various phases of the automotive industry. Like for example, here are some of the examples that you can see. It is used in press shop. Press shop is nothing but when you look at a car, we could find the door components and everything. So initially it will be as a sheet metal, a plain sheet metal. So press shop is nothing but it will have different kinds of dies which stamps the sheet metal to provide a shape to the component. Then afterwards comes the BIW assembly. Once after the child component which we get from the press shop is moved on to the next one. So it is used to assemble the BIW. BIW is nothing but body in white. I will tell it briefly about in the upcoming slides. And it is also used in paint shop and general assembly. General assembly is where the car's variant will be fitted. Like if you find in the cars, like there will be so much trims. Trims in the sense variants. Like for example, if you take a Swift, the variants which we can get in a Swift is LXI, VXI, and ZXI. And in the LXI, if you see, only some of the features will be provided, and these features list will be defined in the general assembly. So during manufacturing, in the assembly section itself, they will define the car's variant and they will manufacture based on the specific variants. And the next thing is powertrain shop. Powertrain is the shop in which the car's engine assembly will be manufactured. Okay, so the engine blocks will be provided by the supplier, and the final engine assembly will be done by the OEM end. And it is used in also forming station, molding station, and casting simulation, and tolerance. Like there is also field in which the tolerance can be, like tolerance is nothing but it is the NVH of the car. NVH is nothing but noise, vibration, harshness. So these are the main three key factors which runs the car. Why? Because like we have to control the noise, outside noise like engine noise, everything within the car, and the vibrations, because the engine is a moving component, right? So because of the moving component, the car should not feel any jerkiness, and the passengers should not feel any vibrations within them. So we have to control the vibrations as much as possible. And harshness is nothing but the hardness in which the car is moving. And moving on to the next one, for machining simulation also, we are implementing this digital manufacturing. Okay, any questions till now?
No,
sir.
Yes. Okay. So I will be covering the topic of BIW assembly today. So BIW is nothing but this is an untreated and unpainted sheet metal part. So once after the stamping simulation is completed, we will be like from the sheet metal, the dies will be producing child components. So child component is nothing but you could find in the door. there are so much components inside. Like what you find in the real world is a finished component. So within the door, you could find there are so much child components, which is some components will be used for latch areas and hinge areas, and there will be impact beams. So these components will be separately manufactured in the stamping simulation. So what we are doing in the BAW simulation is we are collecting all the components from them. So we will be collecting, like for example, if you take the door, we will be getting hinge components, latch components, and reinforcement components, everything from the customer end. And what we will do is we will simulate the entire manufacturing line in the software itself. So before delivering it to it, we will find all the issues that we are facing and how the layout will be placed. Everything will be done in the digital phase itself. So it will cut down a lot of rework, and it will cut down a lot of cost. So the BAW is untreated, unpainted sheet metal part, which forms the basic skeleton. So in this skeleton only, after it is painted, the trims will be attached, and the engine components, wheels, tires, everything will be attached. So the BAW undergoes various processes, like it will undergo welding. Welding is, we will use welding guns to weld, and in some OEMs they will use arc welding also. Like arc welding, you could find it is similar to the welding which you find in the street side. So it uses arc, and it is used to weld complicated shapes. Like if you want to weld a tubular structure, arc welding will be used. In all the other BAW, they will be doing the spot welding simulation. Then after that, it is riveting. Riveting is using a nail-like structure to bond two components. So what we are doing is we are welding all the child components together to provide a finished component. Then sealing process. Sealing is nothing but it is a kind of a glue-like process. That glue provides strength. It provides like it provides both purpose. Like one purpose is to provide a glue-like structure to provide adhesive, and the second purpose is it will provide a cushioning method. Like there are so much components in a single part. So while the car is in the moving condition, all the components should not hit with each other. So we will provide the sealing to provide a cushioning between these parts, so that the noise will not be felt by the passenger side. So generally, why it is called as a body in white is like it since it has only a metallic appearance of the car part, it is called as a body in white. Okay, moving on to the next slide. So these are the BAW components that you could find in the modern day sedan. So there are various types of car models. Today I will be focusing on a sedan. So sorry, this slide focuses on a sedan. So you could find this is the finished component of the sedan, and in the sedan you could find there are so many components like hood, door, everything. So these are called closure lines. So the things which is used to contain which will be moving in the body in white and which provides closure. So they are called closure lines. So hood, door, trunk lid will be called as closure lines. And from the start, if you start from that, the body mainly consists of two components. These are floor components, and after that, body main components. The floor component is divided into three sections. So the first thing is engine compartment. So engine compartment is nothing but which holds the engine. It will be coming at the front portion of the car. These components will be designed based on the crash test in which the product team will be studying. So we will be our process is to manufacture these components, and there is a separate team called hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Manoj.
Sorry, there was a network break. Okay. There is a separate team called product team. So product team will be designing all these components based on their simulation. So they will be designing the engine compartment based on the crash compatibility and everything. And the front floor is the section in which the passengers will be accommodated, and the rear floor which holds the boot spaces. So after this, these three components will be welded together, will be manufactured together to provide the body under. So this will be the bottom of the car. So this is called as floor main compartment or body under. And afterwards, we will be receiving the body side right hand left RH and body side left hand side. So this comprises of the entire side body of the car, and we will be welding it together in the body main station. So at first the body floor main will come, and in that we will assemble the body side, and with that we will assemble the roof rack. And in case of sedan, we will be having an upper back portion, and we will be having the cowl. Cowl is nothing but which will be coming in the dashboard portion of the car. So after this, the body will get assembled. So this is called as a body main, and after the body main is completed, all the closure lanes will be assembled. So closure comprises of hood, fender, doors, trunk lid. So in this case, it is called as the body in white. And after the body in white is manufactured, it will be moving on to the paint. So where the painting will be done, then afterwards it will be moving on to the trim fitments. Okay, so moving on to the next slide. So this is what a BIW manufacturing methodology look like. So this comprises of various stages, phases. So in these phases, we are going to look about BIW manufacturing. So the phases which we are going to look at: pre-processing, quotation phase, layout design, cell building, product study, fixture design and evaluation, OLP and SOP generation, and visual commissioning. So like body in white is one of the key stages in which uses digital manufacturing at its fullest, because the cell which we are going to build for the body in white will be costing in crores. So what we are going to do is they are not going to install it directly. So digital manufacturing helps a lot in the manufacture of the body in white, because we will be simulating the entire manufacturing line along with the fixtures, robots, and everything will be done here itself. So this will help saving a lot of time and a lot of rework and money. So the first phase is pre-processing. So pre-processing is done in the OEM side. For example, if you take OEMs such as Maruti Suzuki, Ford, and everyone, before delivering the product to the customer to begin the manufacturing phase, what they will do is they will study the component first. So they will study whether the product in which they are going to manufacture is feasible to manufacture or not. So for example, the product team will design a component based on their design. So there will be a design team which provides sketches, and based on the sketches, product team will develop the component, develop the car, and our manufacturing scope is to check whether the design provided by the product team is feasible to manufacture. Like they will be providing some complicated structures, and from our scope, in the manufacturing scope, we cannot manufacture such components. So we will be checking everything before the product even itself is started, before the stamping phase itself. So what we will be doing is we will study the product data which is still in the maturing phase, and we will be working along with the product team, and we will be providing feedbacks to the product team, like whether it is okay for manufacturing or whether it is not okay for manufacturing, and do we need any changes in the car body itself. So after that, why we are doing this is we will be studying along with the manufacturing team. So since we are digital manufacturing, we will be working at the design office, and the team which will provide these projects are from the plant side. So each company have like many plants. So for example, in case of Maruti, we have like 2 plants. Like one is in Manesar and one is in Gurgaon. So what the plant team will decide that they will be going for the new model. So they will provide data, and they will provide the information like brownfield or greenfield project. Brownfield and greenfield is nothing but brownfield is if the line is already running in the plant, and if we are going to implement the new model along with the existing running model, that is called as brownfield. And greenfield is nothing but they will be providing an entire new space, and in the new space we will be having a lot of freedom to explore all the new processes and everything. So based on that, we will check for the body in white process, and we will determine the feasibilities. Or else if we want to change some components, we will be discussing with the product team and we will be modifying it. Okay. And why we are doing the pre-processing stage itself? In the pre-processing stage, the product will be validated, the entire process will be validated, and the cycle time will be validated. So it provides any last-minute surprises if we provide it to the customer, the component, and if the supplier, and if the supplier finds any production issues, we will be facing like time delay for all through the entire timeline. So what we will be doing is we'll be studying everything in our OEM end itself. Then we'll be providing the finished component to the supplier. So next comes the quotation phase. So like the quotation phase, it will be used in the supplier end, in which before the car product will be delivered to the supplier, the OEMs like Ford, Hyundai, everything, they will be bidding for the supplier. So like who can take the project? Since I already told you before, the car industry, automotive industry mainly depends on n number of suppliers. So all the suppliers will be bidding for the project, and from that everything will be like allocated. What the supplier who bids the lowest and who proposes the effective process will be selected by the customer, and they will provide the car component to the supplier. What the supplier company does is they will provide they will get the initial data like car body, and they will get the cycle time data, and they will check for the feasibilities. They will go directly to the customer site. I mean, they will look for the plans, space in plan, and they will create a rough estimation of how many number of tools we require, how many number of robots will require, and how many manpower and time will be required. So everything will be done in the digital phase itself. So we will be getting all the data in the digital, and we will be checking everything like studying the component. Everything will be done using design software, simulation software, and after that, and once after deciding the rough estimation, they will provide the code for the customer. The main thing which we need to consider while getting projects from the customer is jobs per hour. So as you can see, the OEMs like for Ford and Toyota, what they will decide is they will decide how many number of jobs is nothing but how many number of cars or car parts. So they will decide it based on they will predict it based on the cost of the car. Like if it is a low cost car, like for example Alto or something, they need to produce it monthly to 20,000 cars like that they need to produce. But if it is an higher end car like Innova or something, Innova, Fortuner or something, they will be producing around 1,000 or 2,000 cars per month. So based on that, and also with the shift. So based on the quantity, they will plan how many number of shifts they will require, and how. So from that, they will calculate for the per day per shift jobs, and from that we will be getting the hours, like in 1 hour how many jobs they require. So this is what the information we will get initially. So from the jobs per hour, we will be deriving the cycle time. So the cycle time is nothing but, for example, if you look at here, if the customer want 60 cars per hour, and how we will calculate the cycle time is we will calculate it in seconds. So for per hour, it is 3,600 seconds. And if you divide it by how many jobs we require, we will be getting the cycle time. So 60 seconds. So 60 seconds is the time in which a car should be manufactured. Like entire body in white should be manufactured. So all the lines, like if you look at the lines, if you move on to the previous slide. So we will be having each lines for each component. So for each 60 second, one component will be coming from here, one component will be coming from here, one will be coming from the rear floor. And for each 60 second, one body under will be manufactured. And for each 60 second, it will be welded with the. So for each stations, it should achieve 60 seconds. So that only when coming to the final stages, for each 60 seconds, one entire car will be coming out of the assembly line. So this is what we will determine from the quotation phase itself. So then moving on to the next one, then we will be receiving the layout from the customer. So for layout, in the digital manufacturing, they uses different kinds of softwares. like AutoCAD, FactoryCAD, iCAD. They use different kinds of software. Previously, they used to chart everything in the like A3 or some other sheets. But now, since we have moved to digital phases, so they will be using 2D softwares. So what the supplier end will do is they will go directly to the customer side and they will mark the space which is provided by the customer for the manufacturing line, and based on that they will provide a rough sketch. Like they will come to the company and we will be discussing with the pre-processing team, and all the design simulation everyone will be discussing, and based on it they will create a rough sketch of how the layout will be looked based on the processes, and everything will be selected, and they will present it to the customer during the quotation phase itself. And the draft layout which was okayed by the customer based on the process will be provided to the simulation end also. Okay, so for example, this is what a layout looks like. So here, if you see, here you could find the information like there is a palette which is used for the loading of the component, and you could find there are two robots which are placed here, and the robot is holding a gripper, and you could find a conveyor is moving, and the duct information, everything will be provided in the layout. So this is the 2D depiction of all the components which are placed inside the cell. And why it is mainly needed is the layout is needed during the implementation phase. So once after all the digital phase is over, we will be providing it to the plant team, and the plant team will be marking everything in the plant, and based on it they will place the robots and fixtures and everything. So you could find like softwares which is used mainly for layout design is FactoryCAD, iCAD, AutoCAD. Majorly they will use AutoCAD for this kind of operations. Okay, so the next phase will be cell building. Since I will be talking simulation mainly, so I will start telling about cell building, because simulation works tandemly with all teams. Like it will work along with the die team. Die team is nothing but they will be it is used in the closer lines to manufacture of the pressing and everything, and it works along with the layout team, and it works along with the design team also. So the simulation team works based on the output of each teams. So the fixture output which we receive from the fixer team is the input for the simulation, and the layout is the input for input, and so on. So the cell building is a phase which uses a simulation software. Like we use various kinds of softwares like Process Simulate, RobCAD, Delmia. So these are called simulation softwares, and in the simulation softwares we'll be using various components like layout, robots, guns in the sense like if you are going for welding, we will be calling that as welding gun, or if you are going for sealing process, it is called as a sealer gun. And after that, grippers. Grippers is nothing but a component should be moved from one station to the other station. So the robot, with the help of grippers, it will hold the component from one station to other station. And the other things are fixtures. Fixtures is nothing but it holds the component in one place. So without because as I said to you before, the finished component is defined from the various new n number of child components. So all the child components will be welded together. So to prevent the moving of the child component, we need something to hold all the child components together. So the fixtures will be designed in the using design softwares. And conveyors. Conveyors is nothing but to move the component from one end to the other end. So and okay, so based on that, we will create a realistic digital manufacturing environment in the software itself. Okay, in the cell building phase, we will look for various operations. Like the first, what we will do is we will get the method analysis sheet. The method analysis sheet is nothing but it is a minute information which comprises of how the JPH is utilized. So as I said before, for example, if you take 60 seconds, the method analysis sheet comprises of all the operations which the entire cell will be doing for the entire 60 seconds. So we will be having every minute information about the JPH here about the process which we are doing, and based on that we will select the process. What are the processes which we are going to do in the simulation, and how many stations we require, how many robots we require. So we will be selecting based on that. And the reach and range study is every robot has some amount of reach. They will be like they will be reaching the component. Like some robots will have like short reach, so we cannot place the fixture in that position. So we need to re-alter the layout. So all the layout remodeling, everything will be done in the cell building phase. Okay, and the robot selection will also be done based on it. Since I already told you before, robots have like certain reach, and some robots have payload. Payload is nothing but the weight in which the robotic arm can carry. For example, if you go for the underbody, it is kind of like a big component, so the payload will be high. So the robots which we are going to select should also have that because the part will be holded by the gripper, and the gripper will also host some amount of weight. So we'll be selecting robot based on it. And this is what we will be doing in the cell building phase. So this is what build to cell looks like. So as you can see, this is process simulate software. So you could find these are the conveyors. We have placed the conveyors, and we have recreated the entire cell in the software itself. So this will be the fence which will be around the robots, and you could find the operator stations. So we'll be placing all the components. So we will be placing PLC boxes and the operator loading boxes, HMI boxes. So after that, we will be placing the fixture, and we will be checking. We'll be placing all the robots which does the operations. So based on that, we will check for reach and range purpose. So this is what a build cell looks like. So this is also one more image for your reference. So you could find here we have two loading stations, and after that a robot will be picking it from here, and it does operations here, and this robot has a gripper here. So this robot either drops here, and after the finished component is done, it picks the part and it's drop it here. And here we have one more robot which does the welding operation. So and so on. So you could find this is how we will recreate everything. So this cell building, we need inputs from all the team. So this we will be using process simulate Dropcat softwares, and to do this, we will be getting a rough draft from the layout team, and based on the rough draft, we will be pushing everything, and based on our reach and range study, we will altering the layout. Then once after altering, we will providing the data back to the layout team, and layout team will provide us the final layout. And you could find the cable trace, like you could see there is a black component running at the bottom of the cell, right? So this is called as a cable tray. So these things will be determined by the layout team, and you could find these are called fixtures. So when the operator is loading here, the component should not fall from the environment. So the thing which is used to hold the components in place during the operations or its movement, it is called as a fixture. You could find this is also a fixture. So these are some of the reference images you could find. So next we will be moving on to the product study. So once the initial reach and range study is completed, we will study the product of the component. So we will be receiving the product from the customer end. So what we will do is we will study the component from the child component end itself. So we will study the step-by-step process of how the component should be made. For example, in case of door, initially we will be getting latch, hinge, reinforcement components and everything. So what we do in digital manufacturing is we will study the entire component and how many number of spots it needs to be welded, and we will select the guns based on it, because each car will have a different shape, and based on it we need to modify all the guns and everything, and we will be selecting all the spots based on the cycle time. So as I said before, the manufacturing line mainly depends on the cycle time. So for each 60 seconds, some components needs to be manufactured. Means so we will be calculating how many spots can be welded for one cycle. So if the spots are exceeding that cycle, we will be adding one more station to complete the spot count. So this is what a 3D data will look like when we will be receiving the when we'll be receiving from the customer end. So this 3D data comprises of all the components, and it comprises of the weld information also, like how many welds we need to be welded, and it comprises of all the information. So after that, you could see, for an example, in the left, you could find this is a front door, and you could find the information about the welding of first geo and second geo. So first geo, if you look, the blue component is one child component, and the green is another child component. So in the first stage, what we are doing is we are welding these two components in the first station. So you could find in the images, like there are small dots which are provided in the images, right? Those are called weld points. So this information will be provided by the customer. So based on it, we will be selecting the guns. So in the second stage, you could find there is an impact beam. So this helps during the collision or crash test. So as you can see, the impact beam comes above the green component. So we cannot. This will be done during the process study. So what we will be doing is, in the first station, only these two components will be welded, and once after these two components are welded, it will be moving to the second station, and in the second station only we will be adding the impact beams. So this is the process study which we will be doing in the initial phases. Then after that, you could find in the right side, this is the gun which we will be using for the welding process. So this is how the gun information will be looking like. So this gun, you could find, this is called as a fixed shank, and this is called as a movable shank. So these shanks will be determined based on the product study. Like we'll be keeping the guns directly on the weld points, and based on the weld points which we selected, and we will be deciding the shanks. So this is how it will look like. So as you can see, there is a child component here, and we will be placing all the guns in the component. And the main thing which we will consider is the gun body should not hit with the component during the manufacturing phases. Okay. So moving on to the next one. This is how the simulation will look like. So this is how the gun study will look like. So here you can see we are having a gun and a robot, and here we will be checking the part whether the gun is feasible or not. So as you can see here, we'll be checking whether the gun is feasible with the component, or whether it is colliding with the component or with the fixtures. So based on it, the gun selection will be done. So this is how the product study will be done in the simulation phase itself. So we will be checking for all the clearances of the gun and everything in the design phase, so that while before ordering the gun, we will have a clear information whether the gun will suit our process or our product. Okay, so this is how the product study will be done. And moving on to the next phase, this is the fixture design. So as I told you before, we will be collaboratively working with the fixture and the layout team. And in the fixture team, you could see the fixture is nothing but a support or holding device which holds the part during its operation. So as you have seen before, during the welding operations, the component was being held by one unit that is called as a fixture. Okay, so the fixture is used both in manual and automatic processes also. it is as I said before, it is used to hold the child components or the finished components, and it will arrest geometrically. Like it will not allow the component to move in XY direction or Z direction. So it will arrest in all three ends. So this is that with the help of using pins, clamp, locators, and everything. And in the simulation phase, what we will do is we will get the input from the fixture team, and we will be checking for the gun approach as you have seen before, to provide easy access for the robots to access the spots, and which helps in reducing the cycle time, and to check for any collisions during the movement. Between the gun and fixtures, we will be evaluating everything in the digital phase itself. So this is what a fixture will look like. This is lift gate. This is a tailgate. So in the tailgate, you could find there are various components holding the tailgate. This is an unfinished component. So you could find there are clamps are holding this component, and there is pin unit which will be holding this component. So everything will be this is how a fixture will be looking like. There are majorly three types of fixtures which we'll be using. One is a geo fixtures. Geo fixtures is nothing but all the child components are not welded. Like previously, most of the geo fixtures will be operator loaded ones. So for example, if you look at here, you could find like there are numerous components like green as a component, and you could find yellow components are there. So these components are being held by fixtures. So in the geo fixtures only, the robot will approach it, and it will weld the child components along with the main component. So once after the geo fixture is completed, we will be having n number of spots to provide the reinforcements. So the reinforcement spots are welded in these spot fixtures. And the other type of fixture is called pallets. Pallet is mainly used in conveyors. So it doesn't have any clamp or any moving parts. Pallets is nothing but a fixed component, so which allows in the movement of the part in the line. So for example, in a line, if the loading will be here, and the cell if we need to deliver the component within the cell which is in deep of the cell, so they will be placing the conveyors in which the operator loads, because the operator should not enter the robotic line which may harm the operator. Why? Because the robot will be running at high speed, like normally the speed of the robot will be 2 meters per second. So due to this speed, and due to this speed, there will be having many number of safety measures and but even though if you go inside a moving line, you will get hurt. So that's why the case we'll be using conveyors for such operations. And this fixture design will be done using major softwares like CATIA, NXCAT. SolidWorks is used by some of the small scale industries, and FIDUS is mainly used by some industries. So FIDUS is also a designing software. So, but the major software which we will be using for designing fixtures is CATIA and NXCAT. Then in our simulation, what we'll be doing is, once after the fixture evaluation, layout, design, everything is done, we will be creating offline programming for the robots. So what we will do is, we will simulate the entire manufacturing process in the simulation phase, in which the robot will be moving to the fixture, and it will start building operations, and it will come out. So after that, the clamps will open, and another robot will pick and drop the process. So we will simulate everything in the digital phase itself. While doing it, we have to provide some programs to the robot. The programs are nothing but a simulation of the robots, and we will be the robots. We have like various suppliers for the robots. The robots will be manufactured by companies such as Fanuc, Kawasaki, ABB, KUKA. So these are robot manufacturers. So every manufacturer provides a data file. So we will be simulating everything in the design phases itself. And with the help of those robot manufacturers, we will be downloading the programs. Those downloaded programs will be used in the manufacturing, will be provided to the manufacturing line once after implementing. So once after implementing everything, we'll be providing the program to them, and they will plug it in the robot, and they will recreate the simulation which we have done in the digital phase in the real-time phase. So that is called as offline programming. And the next phase is SOP. SOP is called sequence of operations. And as you have seen before, a robotic line will have n number of operations. So when I showed in the body line process, like simultaneously all components should work. So for one station, if it needs to work at the first 60 seconds, the next station should also work for 60 seconds. So what we'll be doing in the digital phase itself, we will be simulating all the phases in the all the stages, which we will make it work simultaneously in the digital phase itself, because it should not cause interference with the nearby stations which is working. So those sequence of operations will be done in the simulation phase itself. So that is also a phase in here. So this is a demo of which how the sequence will be done. So as you can see here, there is also a human simulation also. So the human will be simulated to pick the part, and it will be dropped. He will be loading the component in the geostation. So after that, he is going to the PLC and he is pressing the POM button. So this is what you call the clamps. So the orange component which closes the component, right? This will be done before the welding begins. So after that, the robot moves to the welding and it does the welding operation. And after that, this is called gripper component. So you could see there is clamps in the gripper. It picks the clamp part and the fixture clamps open. Then after that, it drops it in the conveyor. And then once the finished component is done, the operator will be picking the part and he will be placing it in the part stand. So this is the robot movement is done using OLP, and all the other human operations, the conveyor movement will be done using the SOP. So this is what we will do in the simulation in the digital manufacturing phase itself. So we will be recreating the entire manufacturing process here so as to avoid. So by this, we could get the information like these two robots will not collide, and the operator like how much time we will be taking to complete this process. So all the phases will be done in the digital phase itself. Then this is the new phase which we are undergoing. So this is the new innovation which we are undergoing. This is called as virtual commissioning. So as you have seen before, we have simulated the operator movement like by pressing the POM button and everything. Virtual commissioning is nothing but once after the simulation phase is done, we will be implementing in the plant condition. We will be placing and all the components in the floor. Then after that, what we will do is we will communicate with the PLC. Like PLC is nothing but a programmable logic controller which uses ladder logic and other logics to determine the process. Like for example, if the operator fails to load the component, the robot should not come and pick the component because it uses various sensors to determine whether the component is present in the fixture or not. Okay, and once after while the welding is being done, we will be having sensors to determine all the welding is completed or not. So all these informations will be done in the plant condition. So what currently the innovation is being going on is we are using various 3D technologies to simulate the entire manufacturing plant from the debugging stage itself. So the phase which after the implement is called as debugging. So we will be providing the robot programs and everything. So what in the digital phase, in the plant phase, what they will do is they will communicate the robot with the PLC. So they will be receiving the signals from the robot and they will check whether the signal is okay. And after that, they will be pushing to the next thing. So all these things will be done in the virtual commissioning phase itself. So in the virtual commissioning phase, we will be implementing all the PLC logics also and the HMI. HMI is nothing but human machine interface. Like once you have seen in the before video, the operator will be pressing a button. So that is called as a HMI box. In the HMI, all the informations will be displayed, like whether the component is loaded and what variant is loaded, like each robot how it is running, like whether it is stopped or not, like all the informations will be given. It is similar to a touch screen of a mobile, so it will provide all the information in the HMI box itself. So we will be debugging everything in the digital phase itself before that. So this will save us a lot of time because the debugging stage will cost around 1 month time to do that. So if we do the space in the digital itself, we will be reducing the time by like, for example, if we do it for 1 month, we can reduce it to 1 week. So those kinds of, because since there is no rework, we can reduce a lot of time and money by it. And mostly the PLC programs is the master, which will be controlling all the tooling and everything. Because as you can see here, we can provide the information like the gripper clamps will open or fixture clamps will open. But PLC is the thing which controls all the fixtures. Like when the robot comes near, you could find the gripper clamps are opening before the robot approaches. So those kind of information will be provided by the PLC controllers only. So now we are trying to recreate everything in the visual commissioning. This is what the current innovation is going towards. And this is a sample of how this PLC is working. So you could find here robot is at home. This is what a sample HMI box will look like. And you could find the robot is at home condition. And here you can see the light sensors. There will be various light sensors which will be placed. And when the part approaches the endpoint, we will be receiving one signal like the part has approached. Then the robot will be moving. Then the robot will be doing the welding operations and it will be placed in the next conveyor. So you could find in the HMI box, like for each step, the HMI box will display how the process will be done. So you could, once reaching, you could find the light sensor is enabled, which shows the part is present in that position. And the robot at home is being turned off. So now during the welding operation, if you see here, the next component arrived. So this is the light sensor, which will be using this, which will check for the part presence, and it will provide the operator like a part has arrived at this location. So all these informations will be shown in the HMI box. So the operator can control the entire cell using this HMI box. He can start the operation, pause the operation. He can turn the entire cell on and off using this HMI box. So everything will be done here itself. So after dropping, you could find the another light sensor is being turned on. Once it moves to the other position, so now you can see the operator is turning off the cell. But since the operation is already started, it will be running. So what we can do is we can pause the cell to stop the robot. And while stopping, you could find the robot once stopped signal is also turned on. So this is what a visual commissioning will look like. So we'll be controlling all the operations in the digital phase itself before implementing. So even the debugging can also be done. So in the left, you could find the signals chart. So you could find like what are the signals we are receiving here. So everything will be done here. So this is what a real-time manufacturing cell will look like after the simulation phase. Once the layout, fixture, everything is deployed to the plant team, they will be assembling all the robots and cars here. Here the picture represents the main body line, in which the car's main body will be moving in a shuttle, and we will be having like numerous robots to do the welding operations and everything. So this is the real-time images of HMI boxes and the PLC controllers of the robot. And you could find here the PLC is the master. There are various operations in this image. PLC is the master, and you could see the PLC gets the information from robot, vision, HMI boxes. If we are using any scanners, it will receive from it, and the PLC will be communicating with the PC. So the cloud computing, the industrial 4.0 is advanced even more than this. Actually, this PC will be connected to the cloud, and the cloud will be interacting with the AGVs and other automated processes, and using that information, the cell will run accordingly. So this is for an example, like how the real-time manufacturing, which I explained, will look like. So you can see this is the underbody line. So this is how a shuttle in plant will look like, and this is a gripper robot picking the underbody of the car, and it is moving the part to the So what we'll be doing in the digital phase is we will be simulating everything there so that to avoid rework. So you could find the robot cost and fixture cost, everything. The cost of the rework is so high in the manufacturing sector. So digital manufacturing plays a key role in reducing all these costs. So here they are doing arc welding process. So this is what I mentioned about the sealing process. So you could find a robot is applying the glue to the body side. So what it will do is here the body side will be merged to the underbody. So it should be having a strong adhesive to the underbody. So after sealing, you could find the body will come, side body will come, and it will marry with the underbody. So it provides a strong adhesive to that, and it also provides a dampening. So it provides a cushion to reduce the vibrations and everything. So after the side body, you could find the roof reinforcements are placed, and after that the welding is done for the body main. So this is how a spot welding will look like. We'll be having different guns and then it will do the welding. So as you can see, this is how the grippers will actually work. So after placing it here, the clamps open. So everything will be automated in the automotive field, and these sequences are being provided by the PLC controller. So once reaching here, the robot will send a signal to the PLC that the robot has reached. So the PLC will send the signal to the grippers to open the clamp. So that is what a PLC does. And once after it is placed, the PLC will receive a signal like the component is placed. So the PLC will send the signal to the conveyor to move the component. So once after the finished component is done, the robot will be placed in the line which will proceed to the paint simulation. So after the body main is completed, all the closures will be attached to the body. The closures are nothing but the closing parts, which are like a hood, tailgate. So those are and doors, those are called closures. Here the robots which you see here are called industrial robots. Like there are many robots for a medical field also they are using robots. Like for manufacturing industry they will be using industrial robots, and the robot which is currently shown in the video is ABB robots. So after everything is done, the final component will be done. So as we have seen before, there are like various stations here. Like there are various stations in this line, and each station will be running based on the cycle time only. So for each 60 seconds, the car will move to the next station, and for the each 60 station, it will move to the next. So that is how we will define the process. Okay, and after that, it will move on to the paint. And if you call the benefits of the digital manufacturing is we can rapidly deploy, because if there is any changes or anything, and we could simulate everything in the digital phase itself. So it helps us save a lot of time. So which helps in the ramping up the production line. So, and the next thing is expenditure. Since we don't have any major reworks, since all the reworks will be validated in the digital phase itself, the cost is very less, and increase in flexibility. Like even if the design is not feasible for us and we need to remodel the design, if we use digital manufacturing, it is easy for them to rework, since it because we won't be manufacturing the component which we need to change every time, and the quality will be improved, because while before the digital manufacturing phases, we will be directly manufacturing the component based on the 2D drawing, and in the plant condition only we will be checking all these processes. So there will be like a lot of collisions and everything will be. So what in the digital manufacturing phase is like, it will help us to reduce all the overall quality of the fixtures and designs. And the limitation is, since everything is automated nowadays and everything is done using cloud computing, there is a risk of data security, data loss. So that is one of the major limitations of, and there is also a scope for development also. And there is a lot of scope for development. We need to recreate everything. So recreate everything, and there is still like we can simulate all the AGVs and everything in the digital manufacturing itself. So there is a lot of scope for development in this field. So that is one of the limitation which we are facing right now, which will be sorted out in the near future. So in the conclusion, you could find digital manufacturing is majorly used by the manufacturers in all sort of ways, like from planning, scheduling to quality management, cost control, material movement, and shop floor operations. Everything can be controlled in the digital manufacturing phase itself. And actually, digital manufacturing provides a lot of data gathering. It helps in gathering a lot of information from the plant, so which can be used for future references, and it is used for analysis and real-time data management also. Okay, so now if you see in the current trend, digital manufacturing is growing in a rapid manner, which helps in collecting all the data. Like with the help of digital management, we can manage the resources, and it will provide an entire overall better customer experience while delivering the finished component, and which will also increase in profits and use of lesser man days. So we'll be completing. We can be we can do instead of doing one project for 1 year, we can complete nearly 4 projects per year. So it will also help in saving a lot of time for this. So thus we conclude this seminar with this.
Any doubt from the participants? Please.
Sir, sir, can you please switch on your camera, sir?
Like my camera?
We will take a snap, sir.
Yeah.
Mona Krishnan.
மனோஜ் எப்படி இருக்கீங்க?
நல்லா இருக்கேன் சார்.
வெரி லாங் பேக், ரொம்ப நாளைக்கு அப்புறம்.
ஆமா சார், நீங்க நல்லா இருக்கீங்களா?
நல்லா இருக்கேன்பா, நல்லா இருக்கேன். எங்க கோயம்புத்தூர்ல தானே இருக்கீங்க?
இப்ப சென்னை சார், சென்னையில இருக்கு.
இப்ப சென்னையில இருக்கீங்களா? ஓகே 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 ஓகே. சென்னையில எங்க?
லைக் கரண்ட்லி ஒர்க் பண்ற சென்னையில, இப்ப ஒர்க் ஃப்ரம் ஹோம்னால மோஸ்ட்லி ஹோம் டவுன் தேனியில இருக்கேன்.
சரி சரி, ஓகே. அருண் சார் முடிஞ்சதுல லெக்சர்?
ஏதாவது டவுட் இருந்தா கேட்க சொன்னேன் சார் பார்ட்டிசிபென்ட்ஸ் சார். விஜேந்திரன் சார்.
விஜேந்திரன் சார் ஸ்னாப் எடுத்துட்டீங்களா? விஜேந்திரன். Okay. So
I thank everyone attended this guest lecture on innovation in digital manufacturing. So I want to thank today speaker Manoj Krishnan who gave his vital time in this schedule to come over here and take this guest lecture. And I also thank our management and beloved principal and vice principal and respected HODs and faculty members. Thank you, Anandal. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.